Okay, and we are live, and welcome to another episode of the Jewish Women Entrepreneurs and Leaders podcast. As you know, we're having a special Support Israel series with everything that's been happening, and being that we are at war, we wanted to show our support to small business owners in Israel, but also to any initiatives that is happening, and there are a lot. So we've had to choose only the initiatives that are helping small business owners or that are being made by small business owners, and more specifically, Jewish women entrepreneurs. And so today I'm happy to welcome Lesley Kaplan, on this podcast. Hi, Lesley.
Hi, Natalie. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. I was going to ask you how you are, but as you know, this is a question that we don't know how to ask or how to answer this question. And I'm going to give a little background on Lesley before we dive in the initiative that she has put together to help small business owners here in Israel. So Lesley has made Aliyah 33 years ago from South Africa. She's been in the beginning living in Jerusalem, but 1 year ago she achieved her goal to move to Netanya, where she lives now. She has 5 kids, including a son who is in the army, presently serving as a paramedic in an infantry unit, as well as two son-in-laws that are present who are presently serving on behalf of in the army. And we're going to talk about that and make sure that you're okay and all your loved ones are okay. Lesley is also the CEO of Build and Brand Your Business. And today we have invited her into this podcast to speak about the special initiative that she calls Monday Motivation Spotlight Series, which was created specifically to boost Israeli business, the economy, and to motivate everyone that comes to on those calls. So before we dive in this special initiative, first tell us, how is your family? Do you have any news from your son, your son-in-laws? Like, this is the most important. What are the news?
Right. So, like everyone else here, we're trying to, on the one hand, be positive and productive and partially managing it. On the other hand, there is a stress, especially when you have a son whose phone has been off for the last 4 days and you can't make contact. But we're getting messages here and there. So, we're doing as well as anybody else, and we're trying to keep positive and motivated and strong for everybody else too. And yeah, that's it. So, thank God they're fine as far as we know. And the saying of no news is good news. So as long as we don't get any news, hopefully it's good news.
Wow, this is so impressive that under such pressure and stress, I'm sure, you're still able to not only manage your own business but also have create initiative to support other businesses. Really, very, very impressive, Lesley. I want you to take us to the moment where you decided to launch this initiative of Monday Motivation Spotlight Series. When did it happen? How did it come to you? What happened that you said, okay, I know that everyone wants to help, but how did it happen for you to start with this initiative?
Okay. So, firstly, I'd like to say that so many people are doing such wonderful things out there. And I really believe, and I've seen it too, that everyone does what they can in their area of strength. So, for me, because I've got a lot of contacts in the business world, because I work with a lot of business owners, I see how they've been suffering right now. I see the difficulty in focus. I see the lack of inspiration, and I'm talking as a whole, but obviously, there are people, there's this roller coaster motion where people have their ups and downs, and one day they're feeling in control and focused, and maybe the next day not. And the same person who maybe has a strong resilience level will have these ups and downs too. So after seeing it and feeling it, and just feeling that the mood was so heavy, I felt that that was my area of strength. Amongst also, thank God, donating to different causes, and one day even just going and filling up the supermarket full of goodies for my son, which I believe really helped them in their tank. But then I decided, what can I do for Israel that is my strength, and for the business owners that I love and work with, and that we've gotten to know each other over the 25 years that I've been in business. So the idea came to do this group, which, as you said, is called Monday Motivation Spotlight Series, with the idea that every week we meet Israel time 9 to 9:30 in the morning. There is a recording available afterwards via YouTube or Spotify if people aren't able to join live. And the idea was basically to motivate and inspire not only business owners, but everyone else, because the people that I've had on the show, I mean, not everyone is a business owner, but they may be the owner or the founder of a nonprofit or involved in other aspects. And, everyone is wanting to do what they can for the economy. So the idea was, on the one hand, to inspire and motivate, but on the other hand, to naturally give exposure to businesses and to support the economy in that way. And that's how this whole deal came to be. There's people like yourself, some are doing a daily, some weekly, some monthly. I've always run a monthly networking group, in fact, two. But for this, I realized once a month is not enough. Who knows? Like, just no, you don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I didn't want to do it daily, that we have people, thank goodness, like you and other people doing it. But I felt something weekly that was open to men and women, and that could be available either live where they can participate and then have time to actually introspect, a bit of self-accountability, set their own goals based on the inspiration that they're hearing. And I felt that the once a week was a good adaptation that people could manage and what I could manage.
Amazing, amazing. And you mentioned the roller coaster of emotions, and you mentioned the difficulty to concentrate. And obviously, you and I work close with business owners, and I've seen that as well with the people that I work with, the people of our network. There are things that keep on coming back, but I wanted to go a little deeper into what you observe around you. With the people, the businesses. Like, what do you see happening around you? What are the most I know that some people are listening also, not only from Israel, from all around the world, and it might be difficult to imagine, like, what it does to a business owner here in Israel. So can you give us more details of maybe examples of people that are around you that you've seen? How did the war is the war impacting them, whether emotionally or financially, or in their day to day? Like, can you give us more examples of that?
Okay. So, firstly, I think a lot depends on where the person is living. Because if you're living in the south or even in the north or in an area that's impacted a lot by having alerts, then no doubt it disrupts your day a lot more. And you're also having to face more of a trauma yourself as well as with your children. So, I think number one, that is a very, very big factor. Number two, I think that we've all been blessed with different resilience levels. So, a lot depends on one's resilient level. So I always say, thank God, and I've coped with many things in my life that Hashem has blessed me with a strong resilience level, but it doesn't mean that at nighttime when I'm trying to go to sleep that I'm able to fall asleep easily and that I'm not thinking of things throughout the night. So I'm finding this is happening a lot also with my clients, my friends, my colleagues, that number one, some of them aren't sleeping so well at night, which means it directly impacts their activities the following day in terms of the stress level and just in terms of the level of exhaustion. And it also depends on the age. If you have children at home, not having children at home, that you have to be there for them too. So that is the one thing. The other thing is, and obviously as time wears on, then sometimes the shock or the effect, I don't want to say wears off because we're still all feeling the stress, but that initial shock that we all felt, and that fight or freeze and not knowing what to do, some people take longer to move through the different stages. So some of my clients are still in that shock stage and not able to do much at all. So with these people, I'm working on basically accepting, acknowledging their feelings, and that it's okay to feel the way you're doing and feeling, and to give yourself a little pat on the back or pat on the shoulder each time you do achieve anything. Set yourself a limited amount of goals. Do set yourself some goals, because that way, at the end of the day, you'll feel, whether it's personal or business, that you're doing something. So for those that are less able to focus right now or to do anything, that's what I'm working on. There's some that have the desire to do a lot more, but they find they just, they have the desire and let's call it the motivation, but yet when it comes to tachlis doing it, they're not able to do it so much. And, it goes according to stages, madregot, that those then that are feeling functional part of the time, functional most of the days, but then there's some days that they have, as in the roller coaster, I don't want to say crashing because some do crash, unfortunately. But it's just recognizing when we need to do more self-care and trying to push ourselves as much as we're able and have these little achievements that'll make us feel that we're doing something. These are the different things I'm seeing. And of course, the financial stress, which you're saying, the fact that a lot of our clients have dried up or right now are there, but they're just, even if we feel like we're opening our doors and ready for business, sometimes our clients aren't, whether it's local or abroad. So it's a combination of those two things.
Of course. And I love what you're saying. You mentioned the daily lives. And yes, I've been doing daily lives. And actually, I called the daily lives, to help refocus on your business. Of course, mentioning that some people may be ready for this and some people may not. Everyone, like you said, has their own stages, and it's okay wherever everyone is. But, I needed to start those daily lives by talking about self-care, talking about routine, talking about sleep. Even though we're talking business language, we first have to make sure that everything you said is really, more or less not working 100%, but that we're giving our attention to that. So I definitely appreciate that. This is what people need to hear. I hear a question a lot. I mean, maybe it is going to move a little bit in the next few days. But I would love to hear your take on that, at least in the beginning for sure. And hopefully it's going to move away. But I felt that a lot of entrepreneurs, and maybe more specifically women entrepreneurs, felt some kind of shame or guilt in promoting themselves, feeling like, what am I going to come now and, try to sell my product when people are literally dying? It's not even an expression, unfortunately. Where so many people are grieving and so many horrible things are happening. Who can put out there a product or a service? And I know that I have my own way of answering that, but I would love to hear how do you answer people like that? Like, if they still have to have a livelihood, they need to pay the bills, they still need to make money, they're not just it's not just a hobby, it's their business. So do you have people like that, and how do you respond to that?
Okay, good question. So yes, certainly I do have people like that and clients like that. And I think it's all about, and this goes not just for this current period, it's all about how we say things, not what we say, but how we say it and the intonation. And, it comes across even on the phone or whether he's doing a Zoom or in an email. And I think that little bit of self-care to let people know, firstly, how are you doing? And I hope your family is okay right now. And if it's a client that owes you money, for example, or a supplier, or whatever it is, I still firmly believe, and this is where I think women different from men, and we've heard it all along the lines, not just now during the war, that women often have more of a difficulty asking for money and being more assertive and more up there, and it gets put across in a totally different way to what a male will say. So for me as a woman, I believe that it's important to show that little bit of sensitivity and have that soft spot, let's call it, but then at the same time, say what we need to say. Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, I had a bill that I needed to pay and was going to be paying right after the Chag, which happened to be when the war broke out. And 2 days afterwards, I got an email from the office, not just saying, I hope you and your family are well right now, but just saying, like, not even anything in the body of the email, just saying in the heading, it was in Hebrew, Tiskoret Leskirat Hachov, like a reminder regarding closing your bill. Okay? Obviously, I paid it because I was planning on paying it anyway after the Chag. But I was a little bit taken aback that there was no sensitivity in it. In other words, just that little sentence, I hope you and your family are doing okay, or how are you doing? A reminder, I know times aren't easy for you, if you can just please pay the bill. So just little things like this, the way we actually say things rather than what we're asking. And that can come across, as I say, whether it's verbal or an email contact or even in a WhatsApp. Sometimes we're very quick to get our message out, but it's important, especially now when people are super sensitive, to take that little bit of extra time and to frame and word things correctly. That's my
Definitely.
take on this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it
definitely.
doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't be asking for payment or if we've got ongoing clients. But once again, and that like they are maybe having a little bit of a setback, if it is that we are, then we can actually say, I understand it may be a difficult time for you. My business is also going through ABC. We're in this together. Something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
The bonding.
Yeah, yeah, and the how and not the what, definitely. I also, add that also it depends on what you're selling, right? I mean, some people are
Totally. If it's a
selling,
product, it's a little bit more difficult, I think, to do than a service because
or
it
if it's a
depends
product,
what.
that is relevant to the moment, right? I mean, I know I have a client that
Exactly.
is selling art, and actually she was a guest also on our podcast because obviously who is thinking of buying art at a time like this is like the least of our concerns right now, and yet I mean, just to show, I invited her on our podcast because yet she was invited by American Jews who wanted to organize a fair in the U.S. for Israeli vendors, and so it's like a Hanukkah fair. And so even though she didn't have any perspective of any sales in the near future, all of a sudden, this became like an opportunity for her to present her products on. To markets that she wouldn't dream of having
Wouldn't do
together.
usually, correct. And another way also is if you plan on donating, for example, a percentage of your sales to help the army or to help any particular organization or families from the north or south right now. So that's another way of putting it across that you can say, it's a win-win for us all, and it's also actually helping a third party.
Definitely, definitely. And so, talking about really donating money, we are a global network and we have at least 40% of our members that are from abroad. And of course, everyone wants to help, everyone wants to support, everyone wants to do something. I have so many people that, say we would, jump on a plane if we could and, just roll up our sleeves and do what, is needed to do. Obviously, it's not always the right thing to do, but a lot of people want to know how to help. And so what is your take on that? Like, what do you say and especially from abroad, because I know here, like you said, there's so many initiatives and so many ways that we can help, so many volunteering opportunities, and so if someone wants, there is what to do. But from abroad, people are often lost. Of course, they can donate money to a nonprofit, and that is always a way to help. But what is another way that you suggest people to help?
Right. So, firstly, before I answer that question, when you said getting on a flight, actually, funny enough, or sadly enough, I was meant to be on a flight right now as we talk.
Oh
I
wow!
wouldn't have been here. I was actually not meant to be here these entire 3 weeks. We had actually booked months ago. I was meant to go to my nephew's wedding, which
Oh
we're meant
wow!
to leave 2 days after the war started.
Wow!
And my husband and I made the strategic decision the moment, Motzei Shabbat and Motzei Yom Tov, when we heard the scale of things and what had happened, that there was just no question about it, that our place was here, our home is here. And even though it's a close family wedding and we weren't even sure if we were going to be able to get refunds or whatever, that we're with Am Yisrael. We are Am
Wow!
Yisrael, we're with Am Yisrael. And especially having children in the army, we heard that some of them had already been drafted. Kids, grandkids, it just wasn't even a question. So just as a side note,
Yes,
I wanted
yes.
to mention, and each one does his own thing, what they have to do, and I totally don't judge anyone if people decide yes to go. And even if the flights had not been cancelled, yes, I could have found a way of going, but we felt that our place was here. So that
Yeah.
being said, I've spoken to many of my relatives in Chutz La'aretz, abroad, where we were meant to be, that also they identify, they feel so distant, what can they do? And on that note, also my son, who's a paratrooper in the army, he said to me, in some ways, he thinks we feel it's, this is coming from him, yes, who's fighting, saying that he thinks in some ways we feel it more than what he does because we're not there in the situation. So, likewise, to answer your question, yes, Am Yisrael and Am Yisrael's, all of us, including out of Israel, we're all suffering right now. But in some ways, yes, we have the trauma because we have the alerts and we're going through it here. But in some ways, coming from abroad, where you're at a bit of a distance and you're not quite sure how to handle it and what to do, in some ways, it can be even more stressful, if
Oh
that makes
yes.
sense.
No,
Okay.
it makes total sense because on the side note, I was also stuck in
Right,
Europe
correct. And you also were waiting to get
before,
back.
and I felt that even though physically I was in less of a danger in Europe, but it was so difficult for me to be away, and I even booked two tickets. I bought two tickets just to make sure that that I
That
would
you
come
get on a
home.
plane.
And again,
Yeah,
like you said, no judgment. I know also a lot of people who left with their kids and said it's too much. I
correct.
can't handle it. Like just like you said, different people have different resilience level, and it's not for us to judge. We just do what we know is good for ourselves. So I definitely
Absolutely.
totally it could be really
Absolutely.
difficult to be abroad. Definitely.
Right. So that being said, when you ask what can people abroad do, is yes, on the one hand, everyone can donate money and every bit of money is needed. Okay. So whatever someone can donate, that's fantastic. I think the closer we can identify ourselves to an actual cause and to actually get to know the people, whether you're donating to a specific unit or whether you're contributing in some other way or making a connection with a family or with a soldier, whatever it is, the more direct connection that we can have with an amuta, with somebody, with the family, whatever it is, I think that we can actually make more impact and it actually can help us that we feel better, that it's not just we're writing a check, but we're actually there connecting, getting, like in the olden days of having a pen pal, having connection with somebody, an email, an address, a phone number, a WhatsApp, just that somebody else knows you care. I think those are number one. That's one way. The other way is, of course, unfortunately, we see the world was very much in favor of Israel and assisting us. When I say the world, I mean, we all know what I'm talking about. And as the time goes on, we are losing some support. So I think, being ambassadors and advocates for Israel, wherever you are, and not everything has to be on a huge scale, just that impact with one particular person can make a huge difference. So I think if everybody can undertake to do that with somebody that they're working with anybody they know, just that little good word for Israel and what's going on, I think that's something that can have a huge, huge effect.
Definitely. I love that reminder. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to be like
Start small, do
a
something
social
small.
media. Exactly. Another way that I found also people want to help, and I think is also a good way is to well, I'm hearing the planes, right? Is that the planes that we're hearing in your?
I can't hear anything.
Okay, so maybe it's just the
But we
background.
do hear it a lot. We hear it a
Yes,
lot, especially in
I've
the
just
beginning.
heard
Right now, I'm
background
not.
noise. Yes,
Uh-huh.
is also to purchase product and services from small business owners. Kachol Lavan, as we say, blue and white. From Israel, because it's like you said, it's a win-win for everyone. If you need a service, if you need a product, I know that on our platform, on our Facebook group, we have a lot of people that promote their services and a lot of other people that say yes, I need a designer, I need a website, I need something, and I may as well hire an Israeli business owner. We also had Aliza Naon, who put together that
Right, an
amazing
amazing website with a lot of business owners
with the
on it and
list,
products.
right? And so
Absolutely.
yeah, this
Even
is
even if somebody can get it via, firstly, we have so much talent here with all
mhm,
our amazing business owners, and I'm going to say especially the women because that's who I'm in contact with many men, and just in terms of my day to day, I hear more from the women what they're doing. So there's a huge amount of talent out there. No offense to our men, we love you. Okay. But what I will say is that, yes, even if you can get something from AliExpress or from Amazon or whatever it is at a lower cost to support a business and an Israeli business owner. And I will say a lot of our prices are very, very competitive. That it doesn't mean supporting an Israeli owner means paying more.
Oh,
And very often you're getting that unique talent that and creativity that you won't get elsewhere. So
exactly.
absolutely. Okay, if you can
Exactly.
support an Israeli business owner, share it with your friends. It can become viral, and that can make a huge, huge difference. Never think that just you as one person can't make a difference. Don't ever think somebody else is going to do it. Do it yourself.
Definitely. Well, Lesley, we're getting to the end of this interview. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode and sharing how you are contributing in helping small business owners. Your next Monday Motivation Spotlight series is next Monday. I'm guessing you had one yesterday, and so next Monday it's at 9:30. You said right, nine
Yeah,
thirty
nine,
Israel
9 o'clock Israel
nine.
time. And once again, it's great if you can participate live because then you can also be part of the Q&A, feel the instant inspiration, but you can catch it and watch it afterwards on YouTube or on Spotify. But
Perfect. So
yes, do
we'll
join,
let
and there's many other things going on too, which are amazing that people can join.
of course. I mean, we have also our weekly network and support meetup, which we also shifted from monthly to weekly every Wednesday. So our next one is tomorrow at 8 p.m. And we have experts that are coming to help in different breakout rooms in different areas. I have a breakout room on how to manage your business in those difficult times. But you're welcome to come and hear all the other speakers. We have also, like I said, our daily lives every day at 10 a.m. Israel time. And the podcast interviews, our next one is on Thursday. By the way, I'll give a little teaser, and that's also for you, Lesley, to keep in the corner of your mind. We're actually launching an initiative for a lot of many women in Israel who either have lost their jobs or their husbands are reservists that want to work from home, can do like virtual assistant work, Israeli women. And so we've put together a list of those women. Last time we checked, we had like 45 women, which is uh,
Amazing.
very, I mean, it's nice, but it's also sad that so many women need work right away. And so the idea is to promote that list to as many entrepreneurs as possible around the world or in Israel. If anyone needs a VA or admin work or anything that they can hire them by the hour and help them financially. So that's something we'll speak about on Thursday. But until then, Lesley, thank you so much for being with us in this podcast. And I wish,
You're very welcome. And if I can just leave one final tip, I would just like to say, if
sure,
I may, is that we
sure,
all handle situations differently. And I find like for me, being productive and busy helps me get through this more. So if we can all just focus on the elements that we feel we can control, because there's so much that we can't control, but by focusing and engaging in what we can control, I believe that will help us cope a lot better and will help Am Yisrael in the long run too, instead of worrying and focusing on what is not in our hands.
definitely, definitely love that tip, Lesley. Thank you so much, everyone. Wish everyone safe. Keep yourself safe. Everyone, of course, in the army, your son and your sons-in-laws, everyone should return home safely.
Amen. Amen.
And we will see you in the next episode of the podcast on Thursday. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Natalie.